All right, we are back on sports, and I know you see all the stuff that we're going to talk about in the header, but first, I want to talk about the Eagles. That's right, because there's been some new contracts put out, and I just want to talk about this real quick, my impressions on it due to the fact that, only take a couple minutes. So, I want to talk about Zach Ertz's new contract. I have no problem with it due to the fact that he's a really good, very good tight end, so I don't have a problem with that. Also, Brent Selleck got a new contract, and for those who heard his press conference after he got his contract, they announced it, he said that, this new contract will make him an Eagle for life. That's right, that he will finish his career here in Philadelphia, and I have no problem with that at all. We don't know what the franchise is going to do, later in the years, of his contract, trade him, waive him, do whatever with him. We don't know. You know what I mean? So, but if he honors his entire contract and they let him, he will be an Eagle for the rest of his career. So, congratulations, Brent Selleck. However, I have to say, what you said at the press conference was kind of weird. No, I can't even chalk it up as weird. I'm going to chalk it up as just being very happy. How about that? For those who don't know what he said, didn't hear what he said. He talks about how the roster that we have currently on the Eagles staff, that's right, the current roster of these players, are good enough to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. That's what he said. That's what he said. Look, I'll put it like this. I understand that you want to have confidence in your teammates. I understand you just got a new contract. That's what we're chalking up to. You got a new contract. You got up there and was cheesing. It was like, I'm going to say everything, positive about the franchise. I'm going to say everything positive about the teammates. He just wants to be looked as, the good guy right now because he just got that big money. I understand Brent Selleck. But you can't tell me that there's no way that this current roster can go to the Super Bowl. No, I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear that at all, okay? But I understand he was just happy, and he's just saying things because he got a new contract. I get that. And in the last bit of news for Eagles news, Lane Johnson gets a new contract. Fuck Lane Johnson. I told y'all before I will never support Lane Johnson and his P.D. Royden ass, and he sits here and says the reason he signed this contract is because of one thing. Because of the players. Because the people that he feels comfortable around in that locker room, that's the only reason that he signed this contract, this new contract. Maybe, I'm just going to spitball here and say maybe it's because the players tried to help you out as much as possible, in this previous season, before we were eliminated. Because you were getting dusted all season on your side. But yet they had to try and compensate for you, as far as I'm concerned. Then when you came out and said what you said about the fans, yeah. I don't want to hear it, Lane Johnson. Fuck off. Anyways, let's move on. I have some more news for you. Chelsea fans, John Terry will not be with the club, I believe, at the end of the summer. I believe he's leaving. And now, here's the thing. John Terry says they have not offered him a new contract. That's right, so he'll be leaving. And but the Chelsea spokesman has said that, it's not too late to offer a new contract. Just relax. That's what they're saying. But if John Terry goes, let him go. It seems like, and he says that the club is going in a new direction, which I would think is being more youthful. That's what it seems. And I don't have a problem with that as far as I'm concerned. But, a lot of people are starting to freak out. But he's a legend and he's been here so long and he's won so much and he's, has leadership. You can't forget, though, what he's done off the pitch. And you know what I'm talking about. And we know that people will never let that go. So as far as I'm concerned, if he goes, he goes. If he stays, he stays. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. So we'll see what happens. What I'm going to say is if you're going to get rid of him, make sure you replace him with someone who can do the same thing. I put it like that. Someone of quality. Even if it's the youth, you got to bring up some of those youth guys, because they're passionate. Then I say even do that as far as I'm concerned. That's the only Chelsea news I have for today. Now I want to move on. I do want to talk about more football. I do want to talk about the NFL Pro Bowl. Now, people, did anyone watch the Pro Bowl? I'm not sure. I'm not saying this to be a smart ass. I'm really asking, did anyone watch the Pro Bowl? Because I'm watching this and I'm like, this sucks. This is horrible. They were playing two-hand touch out there. There were times receivers were catching the ball and they would run and they would slow down and they just do like this. They wouldn't go down and the guys would just touch them like this and then they would blow the whistle. I'm like, are we really seeing this right now? You're not even tackling them? You're not even tackling them. I understand that nobody wants to get hurt during the Pro Bowl because, they millions of dollars or they got a new contract coming up or they'll be a free agent. They don't want to get injured and things of that nature and they have to look good for new teams. But here's the thing. If you are a free agent, okay, and you feel as though you didn't have that good of a season, or you had a good season, but you want to make sure that you solidify your spot, guess what? Then you show off in the Pro Bowl and you show out. That's what you do, all right? You go off on those people because you want to make a case for yourself because you got to think, they're not going to see you play football until, September? Maybe a little bit before that? Because as we know, as soon as the season ends, they're going to start signing people, and then we got OTAs and things of that nature and practicing. So, yeah. But you have to understand, I put it like this. It's one of those things where you should put on your highlight reel. at the end. If you know you're coming up to a new contract, whether you want the team to re-sign you or another team wants to take you on, so you know you want to get your dollars up. So you want to make sure in the Pro Bowl that you show that you are that good. Regardless if they're slacking off or not, that's on them. All right, whoever's slacking off. But you have to make it known to the people who are watching, hey, I'm putting in work. And for me, that it seems like a lot of people miss that opportunity. A lot of them. So as far as I'm concerned, maybe they should go back to, how it was back in the day. And I don't know if everyone remembers, but they used to have a football weekend. It's almost like All-Star weekend. And I'll explain this also with the NHL as well. And basketball. As you know, All-Star weekend. We already know about basketball, All-Star weekend. But football used to do the same thing, all right? They used to have a number of skills challenges to show that the players were good. You know what I mean? And we're not talking, these days, they just put, the Celebrity Madden Challenge out. No, we're not talking about that crap. You know what I mean? Actual skills challenges. You know what I mean? It wasn't just, about football. It was actually players running track and things of that nature to get the fastest time, or who could lift the most, or get the most reps when they were lifting and benching, and things of that nature. There were so many skills challenges back in the day when it came to football players during Pro Bowl weekend that it actually made it watchable. I think because they've taken those things out, once again, players don't want to get hurt and things of that nature. I feel as though they need to bring those things back to somewhat give some integrity to the Pro Bowl. Because if you're watching this Pro Bowl, and what I saw on Twitter, many others were like, just end it. Just kill it with fire. Just stop it. It's done. The best thing about the Pro Bowl this weekend were the uniforms. Uniforms. I'll say that right now, the uniforms. And that's not saying much. All right, just to let you know that, okay? Because Nike, once again, they make their uniforms, even though they look nice. You can also look at Nike stuff that they do for college teams and be like, okay, can you really tell the difference between the two now? It's one of those things where you need some type of distinguishing factor. And I'll put it like this. If Nike decided, and we know they're not going to, because as you know, every year the Pro Bowl, they got to have a new jersey, and then say, hey, we want to sell it to you. Because if they had the same jersey over and over again, nobody would buy it. You know what I'm saying? But these jerseys did look very nice as far as I'm concerned. But it's getting to a point now where the Pro Bowl has become so irrelevant that, like I said, I literally have to ask, did anyone watch it? Because even when I'm watching, I'm just like, this is horrible. But I'm watching it simply because it's football. That's why. Even though it's two-hand touch, it's like, it was really hard to watch. But there were some times where people actually played hard. They actually showed some athleticism, all right? They showed, quarterbacks showed they had an arm and things like that. So, as far as I'm concerned, the Pro Bowl can, if you're not going to kill it, then at least give it some relevancy. And the NFL is doing a horrible job at that right now. They just are. Now I want to move on to the NHL Allstar game, which actually did things right this season. That's right. And for those who did not watch the NHL Allstar game, the All-Star weekend in general, they had their skills challenges. I wasn't a fan of the music show or whatever they had. You could have did without that. You know what I mean? You could have. But the skills challenges was really good. Once again, they put on a great show with the athletes. I think some of the creation side was kind of bad. Seriously, let me just put on a Chewbacca mask, go out there and hit a slap shot. That's beyond unoriginal. You know what I mean? But there were also players who did do some great things out there. They did. However, I'll put it like this. The best part of the weekend, before the All-Star game started, all right? We're talking about the skills challenges and, introducing the players in Nashville, okay? The best part, I want to say this right now. The best part is that Patrick Kane was booed when they announced his name. Now, because I can't show you the entire thing, because apparently NBC is going around and flagging everyone, the sound, for audio, that's right, for copyright audio, that's right, they're copywriting boos and commentary at this point, because that's all it was. There's no music or anything. We have to do this a completely different way this time. And it's funny because Scott, when Patrick Kane gets booed, you see his face, and Scott is laughing so bad. So let's do this a different way this time. It's hilarious to see his face like, I can't believe that they're booing. It's hilarious, you know what I mean? But here's the thing, okay? I understand that people in Nashville don't like Patrick Kane. Here us in Philadelphia, we don't like Patrick Kane due to the fact that we saw what happened, in the Stanley Cup. Not to mention, this guy has a number of problems when it comes to police. We remember when he beat up that cabbie. Not too long ago, he was accused of, sexual assault? So, I believe the case was thrown out or something like that. But still, this guy is a problem off the ice. He is, and a lot of people don't like him. So I'm thinking to myself, if all these people are booing Patrick Kane, does it really hurt his star power when it means overall in the NHL? So when this is happening and they're booing him, I'm wondering how his sales are with his All-Star jersey. So I go to NHL.com, and this is what I see. So it goes to show you, no matter your problems off the ice and severe allegations of what you've done off the ice, there's still people who still love him, regardless. Of course, a lot of us boo him because we hate him for his play of what he's done to our teams. However, when it comes to serious cases, like the assault on the cab driver, like the accused, sexual assault on a woman, it's one of those things where you really have to look at it and say, is this really going to affect him? And when you see those jerseys, those All-Star jerseys, say, there's only a few left, it almost makes me feel as though the player's bulletproof because he's so popular, because he's good at playing hockey. That's what it almost makes me feel like, So, anyways, I want to move on. I just wanted to clarify that because I was just wondering myself, you know what I mean? Because, seriously, if you heard those boos, it was just like, whoa, out of nowhere. It's like, okay, you want to boo him because you don't like him, but it was almost like in unison, everyone just booed him. They hate him so much. It was pretty funny to watch. As for the, All-Star game, I have to say, NHL, my hat's off to you. Seriously, they made the right decision on what they need to do. 3-on-3 hockey, you broke it down into divisions, so it was always fast-paced. It was always, oh my God, you don't know what's going to happen. A turnover will happen, automatic one-on-one. This is what you were looking for. And the first, that first feeling at first, everyone's just trying to feel everything out. You know what I mean? The players were playing real hard, which is what I'll explain. Then when you got to the middle of this All-Star game, you saw a lot of goals starting to get racked up. There was like 15 plus goals or whatever. And then in the end, the players were huffing and puffing and sweating. They were playing so hard. And it goes to show you that it's not just, All-Star games in general where players are like, oh, well, we can take it easy. This is time to relax and like the Pro Bowl, people were just taking it easy and, not taking it serious. The players took this serious at the end. It was really great to see. So as far as I'm concerned, the NHL did the right move by changing the rules and giving the people what they want. And the people in Nashville, for what I've heard, they were very, very supportive, outside the ice, when it came to the players and things of that nature. So, as far as I'm concerned, it was a great All-Star weekend for the NHL. I think it's one of those things where hopefully they keep this going next season and they can build upon this because Skills Challenge was great. You know what I mean? Speed Challenge, going around the ice trying to break the record was great. You also had, like I said, the All-Star game. Like I said, the only thing I had a problem with was the music festival. You really don't need the music festival due to the fact that we see this time and time again. And how many of us complain when we see this? Well, before an All-Star game starts, or before a Super Bowl starts, or before any type of special event when it comes to sports, you gotta cater out these musicians to come out and sing all these stupid songs when we're like, we don't care, we just want to see them play. And I never understood that. Branding, I guess? I don't know. It's uncalled for, though, and we know this, alright? So, as far as I'm concerned, they can deal without that. You know what I mean? We don't need that. I understand singing the national anthem and things of that nature. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? But just to get up there and have a stage and have them sing for a half hour, 45 minutes before anything even starts, it's like, I'm not sitting there watching that. I don't care who you are. I'm not sitting there watching that. You know what I mean? You could be Beyonce out there. I don't care. I'm not watching it. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, the NHL did. If I'm going to sit here and look at what happened with the Pro Bowl weekend, you know what I mean, and NHL All-Star Weekend, NHL All-Star Weekend, hands down, did great. They did the right thing. They listened to the fans. That's the difference. They listened to the fans, and they adjusted, and they tweaked what they need to do, and it came out to be a better experience, as opposed to the NFL, who doesn't still care. They don't care. They don't. You think they would fix it by now. I'm waiting on the NBA to see how they do things, to see if they fix anything. Because remember, they've been tweaking here and there. And every time they try to tweak something, especially when it came to the slam dunk contest and things, it just hasn't gone well. It hasn't. So we'll see what happens. But, I did expect there, because there were some times where players were playing around on the ice, and I expected some more flopping. But nothing compares to the flopping of what I've seen when it comes to soccer. Or should I say, once again, football overseas, your Griffin Force flop of the week.
It's like Cooper just gave him a little bit of, oh, come on.
Oh, come on, man. That's a horrible decision. A horrible time to decide to flop. It just is. You gotta be kidding. Stop. So, speaking of horrible decisions, since we're talking about this, let's talk about the NBA. I know we spoke about that not too long ago. Gotta talk about the NBA real quick. The NBA, check this out. They went and voted the best and worst referees, NBA players, right? And this is where you already know NBA voting is a sham. We already know this. Anyone who saw the All-Star voting not too long ago, people were saying, All-Star voting, it's gotta go. because players are getting in that don't deserve to get in. That's what they're saying. And if you see some of these players that were voted over other legit players, like credible All-Star players, it was absolutely ridiculous. But it gets worse. It's not just with the fans, because a lot of people were blaming the fans. Now we're talking about the players. That's right. We'll talk about this right now. The NBA's best and worst refs by NBA players. They actually voted Joey Crawford as one of the best refs in the NBA. Look, when you vote Joey Crawford one of the best refs in the NBA, it goes to show you that the talent pool of refs in the NBA, don't know it's so low that you have to vote Joey Crawford as one of the best in the NBA. You've got to be kidding me. Or is this a seniority thing? Is that what it is? He's been in the league so long, you got to give him his credit? Because as far as I'm concerned, Joey Crawford is the worst, the absolute worst on this staff. And like I said, I will put the link in the info bar so that you people can see all the refs that were voted best and worst. They are just, it's atrocious. It just is. But speaking of voting, that's right, let's talk about this. Matthew Dellavedova has been named the dirtiest player in the NBA by the players and the coaches. Now look, let's get something straight here, people. Matthew Dellavedova, I had said online on Twitter not too long ago that I judge his play on a case-by-case basis, okay? There are times where I feel as though he is playing dirty. It's uncalled for. And I think there's times where I just say, all right, that's just playing hard. You know what I mean? He's playing hard, he's sacrificing his body, things of that nature. I don't have much of a problem. I think it's a 50-50 with me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say he's the dirtiest player in the NBA and he should be kicked out and things of that nature. He should be banned from the NBA. And yes, people, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, people have got together and made a petition. That's right, trying to ban Dellavedova from the NBA. That's right, 14 butthurt fans. You couldn't even make your quota of 100. Get over it. There's something wrong with y'all. When you are putting together, all right, petitions to get this guy out the NBA, when all these other players are flopping, they're acting a fool, they're trying to influence referees of hurting the game, you gonna sit here and tell me that's what you make a petition over? That? You've got to be kidding me. Oh my God. The thing is, it was a Heat fan who did it, right? And Heat fans were like, oh my God, don't do this. You're embarrassing us. Speaking of embarrassing and speaking of bans, you know what needs to be banned? I've seen it a lot as of late, so we should talk about it. A lot of you have said it already, but I guess I'm on board now with this. The dab. That's right. We got to talk about this because no matter in what sport it's being done, we talked about on Twitter when I posted that picture, they were doing it overseas in football, soccer, right? Now, we're seeing it in basketball.
12 shots in the half, so the Knicks got it down to 10. Marv Albert, Graham Hill, Lazar, Mike Fratello, Kristen Ledlow working the sideline. And for the Raptors, the highlights supplied by their two All-Stars, Kyle
Wait for it!
Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. And Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan.
Dab on them! Nobody's safe! Don't matter who you got, commentator, doesn't matter you on the court, on the field, it don't matter on the ice, it don't matter. Nobody's safe as far as I'm concerned. I will put it like this. Damn that Cam Newton! Damn you, Cam! Okay, because let's be honest here. Nobody was doing this in an arena, on a field, anywhere until Cam Newton decided to dab, you know what I mean, playing football. And it just caught on. We see it in college, we see it in soccer, we see it in basketball. They're not letting this go, are they? They're never going to let this go. I'll play this. It'll be obsolete, I'm going to say, after the Super Bowl. Because then nothing's going to happen there because no one's going to be doing it. You know, like I said, Cam was just influencing so many people. And, of course, because they're winning as well, all right? So people started doing it. So if that's the case, I have to ask these people who are following this trend, okay? And you want to dab and make yourself look good, especially that little kid. I have to ask you, are you going to follow Cam on this trend too? Bruh, you see, Cam, what is going on? Like, what is that? You got to be kidding me at this point. We going to team up with Shawn Michaels and become the new Rockers? You've got to be, come on, man. I would love to see people take that on. I'm telling you now, if people start wearing that in the hood or down in their school, whatever, guess what's going to happen? They're going to get their hands beat. They're going to get beat up. Ain't no one wearing that. Come on, man. There is no way you can sit here and tell me, and we talked about this, where a lot of people were saying to me on Twitter, where, you know, this is getting out of hand. We're seeing players act a fool. They're dressing as like they're clowns and out, you know, very loud and outspoken. And I said, maybe it's just one of those things where they don't want to be looked at as threatening. or intimidating when it comes to the public. They want to be seen as they're just regular people. And I say this due to the fact that this is a direct influence of what the NBA did not too long ago. Remember, they got to a point where they were like, we want to ban all this type of dress because the players are dressing like thugs and things of that nature. Remember, Ron Artest jumped to the stage, started punching people in the face, which if you asked me, all right, when it happened, I really don't have that much of a problem when you look back at it. Fans shouldn't be throwing shit anyway. I don't care how much of a diva he's acting on the court. You shouldn't be throwing cups of soda at players. You shouldn't be. So I understand the reaction. He got up, he ran up there, he targeted the wrong guy. He did. But I understand. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden the fans are fearing for their lives. Well, you shouldn't be acting like a fucking douchebag. You shouldn't be. Okay? It's that simple. You got put in check. That's how it is. Because let's be honest here, if you're walking down the street and someone throws a cup of soda at you, you're damn right you're going to go over there and say something. You're going to get in their face or something, maybe an altercation. You know this. So it's no different from, because a lot of people would say, when it happened with Ron Artest, he needed to be more professional. No. He's a human being. It's like any other player. I don't care if you're playing football, hockey, soccer, whatever. All right? If someone throws something at you on the field, they're automatically in the wrong. You have the right, as far as I'm concerned, you have the right to go up there and whoop that ass. There's no reason for that. You gonna tell me fans can't compose themselves, can't keep their composure because of that? That's crazy. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I think that this is a direct reflection of that because remember, the NBA at a long time, they were selling mass amounts of jerseys. They were ingrained in the hip-hop culture. They had no problem with it. They were pushing Allen Plaster all over with Allen Iverson and everything, the cornrows and the tattoos and everything, and they were making so much money off of it. Were they not? And then they came along and said, we need to get rid of this image. And then all of a sudden, everyone started dressing like a bunch of sideshow freaks. And that's with Russell Westbrook, hello. Now we see this more and more, and I think it's starting to facilitate into other sports. As far as I'm concerned, I really feel that's the case. It's not about high-end fashion and things. I'm not going to hear that. All right, because the NBA tried to pull that crap. Was it last year at the All-Star game? They had their own fashion show, and people were like, "I'm not watching this," and he didn't because it's trash. Because no one cares. They actually have their own. Was it fashion Twitter now or something like that? Like, stop. They are trying too hard to incorporate all these other things to get you fans to buy stuff. That's what it is. It's not just about, buy jerseys or buy NBA affiliate apparel because that's what you're doing. You're going to watch basketball. You are not worried about some guy wearing a suit and tie. You're not worried about some guy wearing, a big chain around his neck. No. That's it. Going to their facility to go play basketball. It's not like they're wearing this shit on the court, okay? But you can't tell that to people because, they should act appropriately and professional because, okay, so how many people do you know, because we see it time and time again, wear suits every day to go to work and then go around and fuck people over? Don't want to talk about that, huh? How many people like Patrick Kane, just not too long ago we talked about, he wears a suit to go play hockey, right? Yet he went up there and beat up a cabbie and then he was accused of sexual assault. Does it matter? Exactly. You can't just let these clothes just define who you are. And it almost makes you feel like it's kind of a shame to see that happen. Because it's like these athletes, if they want to dress that way, that's one thing. If they choose to dress that way. But for what we've seen, a direct influence, like I said, that's how I see it. You connect the dots. It makes me feel as though they're doing it simply so they're not looked at as very intimidating, to the public. That's what it feels like. And that's pretty sad because you should be who you want to be at that point. You should dress how you want to dress. You play football, okay? That's what you do. You play football. So as far as I'm concerned, you can go to you can go to your facility in jeans. You're getting on a bus or an airplane. Guess what? You can wear something comfortable. As far as I'm concerned, I just don't see it. If you choose to wear a suit, that's on you. You know what I mean? If you choose to wear that, or they say, look, in your contract, you have to wear team affiliated things like warm-ups and stuff like that. That's fine too. You know what I mean? But you have to be kidding me that, all of a sudden this is what we're doing and this is supposed to, even though it makes them look standoutish, it also says, hey, I'm not a threat or whatever. And to me, that's, given what's happened with the NBA over the years and how they try to eradicate, the jerseys and stuff like that, and throwbacks and stuff, like, you can't tell me that what we're seeing today isn't, hasn't evolved from that. You can't tell me that. You can't. But speaking of basketball and social, economic impact, I want to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Because for those who don't know, they have released the new sketches or the new ideas, the concept art of what their training facility will look like. Now, mind you, the last time we talked about this, the Sixers didn't even have any wins, and they were building this place, and they wanted a helicopter pad and all this type of stuff. And we're thinking to ourselves, what are you doing for the city of Philadelphia? Okay, that's what we were saying. How are you giving back to the neighborhood to bring in the revenue, to get these people that you're helping to come to the games? Because that's what you have to do. You were spending more money on entertainment at the games than you were on the players. Because as we know, the players, they didn't want to come to Philadelphia, but you had all this money, you didn't know what to do with it. Now we're finding out under Sam Hinkie that he is building this training facility, and it's in Camden. So let's look at the sketch of this training facility so far. This training facility is massive. 2 different complexes, all right? And they're going to, accompany, and should I say, it's going to complement the players as well when it comes to this. There's going to be, one is part of a luxury suite, so they're going to have all the business that's going to be done there. It's going to be done in Camden. It's not even going to be done in Philadelphia. So once again, I see a lot of people saying in Philadelphia, well, the Sixers, they're banking off of the fans who reside in Philadelphia. For anyone who saw also the advertising as of late when it comes to commercials, when they're going down into the hood and they're showing all the spots in Philadelphia, all the broken down basketball courts and things of that nature, and they're getting all these people, to show that they have heart regardless, whether it's and they show like the people in the boxing ring, and so the spirit of Philadelphia, the heart of Philadelphia, yet your training facility is in Camden. You know what I mean? So people are asking, what are you doing in Philadelphia? Well, for those who don't know, now they have the Sixers Strong Initiative, which is, they go around, the actual organization, they have, of course, an offshoot of their organization. They go around and try to renovate parks and basketball courts. And I've been talking about this for fucking how long? How long? Seriously, anybody who's been watching these videos, how long have I said, Sixers, this is what you need to do? I've been saying this before CEO Adam before he left, did I not? So you can't tell me I haven't been saying this for years. Now, it's a thing. And I find it funny that they're doing this because even though I'm going to give them credit in doing this, for what we've seen, there hasn't been much output when it comes to the Sixers Strong Initiative. I mean, at any point they can say, hey, you can buy a shirt that says Sixers Strong and you can join up and things of that nature and volunteer. But when you're looking at the body of work as opposed to how much money you are putting into this training facility in Camden, and I'll put it like this, all right? Camden officials have already said they're okay with this simply because the Sixers sold them on it and said that they're trying to help the community in Camden. So they're trying to bring in revenue for Camden. And I'm thinking to myself, it's a training facility, all right? Maybe they're going to hold some tournaments or events there. We don't know yet because it's not built yet, so we don't know. But if you're trying to help Camden, and I've been saying for years, what are you doing for Philadelphia? And you've had that much little stuff for Philadelphia. We'll just give you a Sixers Strong Initiative. We'll rebuild this, but we're going to put this massive complex over in Camden. Now, mind you, the Flyers skates, they're in Camden. They're in Jersey as well, but you've got to be kidding me when you stack up how much money is being spent on this training facility as opposed to the money that you're spending trying to renovate basketball courts. Shit, they'd all be renovated by now. They would. Because, let's be honest here, as much as this is costing, I mean, seriously, you need a helipad. Come on, Sixers. And we always keep saying, even though they're spending the money and it does look luxurious, and I'll admit, it looks amazing. I would like to go visit. That's how great it is looking right now. I'm saying that now as a fan, as a basketball player. It looks great. I would like to spend time over there to see what it's about. I would. But when you have these type of things that happen, and you're building all this money, and you're using all this money, and you're building this complex, the team still isn't winning. How are you supposed to sell this to people when players are doing this?
As he missed the second.
Look, I understand intentionally fouling somebody, but are you fucking serious that you jumped on his back like he was giving you a piggyback ride? See, when you see things like that, that's when us fans are just like, nah. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be kidding me. So you're trying to sell this complex up, you're trying to hype it up, all right, and say that it's going to be one of the most elite complexes that the NBA has ever seen, and then you have your players doing that. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at these things for what they are, it's kind of hard. And you gotta think, I'm not going to jump on the Sixers too much due to the fact that they did play Golden State, all right? And they did only lose by a couple points because, let's be honest, they almost beat them. But here's the thing. You shouldn't have been down by 20-plus points to begin with. You shouldn't have. But you came back and you fought hard, and that's what people are going to say. They fought hard. They almost upset Golden State and think, yeah, they're going to say that, all right? So what, you're 7 and what, 41, 42, something like that now? 7 wins in the season, 40-plus losses. You know what I mean? But I guess, regardless how many wins or losses you have, there's always going to be that thirst. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, groupies. Should we show it right now? Groupies acting a fool in the almost empty stadium trying to get players, Sixers players, to marry them. Jesus Christ, that is so embarrassing, that thirst. You've got to be. I don't ever want to hear that women don't get thirsty. And we know they do. So, I guess groupies, we need to have this talk. I understand that, you go out and you look for ballers. Some women, they have that, that agenda. They look for ballers. Some look for ballers. There's a difference. I'm going to talk about it right now, okay? Because I would think that you would want to set your standard kind of high. Because you got to think, you're looking for a basketball player, money and things and luxury. I get it. You know what I mean? Maybe you can get your own reality show. You never know. But, I'll put it like this. If you're going to ask a basketball player to marry you, you can at least find one that averages more than 11.4 points a game. You can at least find it. You gotta be kidding me, man. Like, you serious? Are you serious? Now, granted, Robert Covington is playing kind of well as of late. He's averaging more right now. But his overall average is 11.4 points a game, which should tell you something, all right? Now, I'll put it like this as well. Robert Covington, even though I feel as though he can be a rising star on this team, he's a very streaky shooter. He is. And that's a problem. Because if you're going to be consistent and put this team on your back, you have to be better than what you're playing. And it seems like right now he's not. And it's not to knock him down. It's not. Because I feel as though he can, like I said, I feel as though he can be a rising star. But if you put him on another team that's not playing bad, and they're a really good team, guess what? This guy doesn't see the light of day on that court. He'd be lucky to make the bench. He probably would have been D-Leagued. So it just goes to show you, in a time where our team is so dismantled, and it's horrible, we are now, I should say fans, groupies are now wanting guys who average 11 points in the league to marry them. Maybe I just don't understand the mindset. Maybe that's what it is. I'm just going to say that's what it is, okay? I want to move on. I want to talk about boxing. That's right. First off, in some news, Frank Bruno. For those who do not know, Frank Bruno, I know you're probably saying, damn, Frank Bruno. Frank Bruno has announced that he is coming back into boxing. Now, mind you, Frank Bruno is 54 years old, okay? Now, I know a lot of people are looking at Frank Bruno and saying, hey, if you look at him, he looks in shape, he looks hungry and things. Okay, look, I don't have a problem with his age. I don't have a problem with his physique. Because if you looked at him, he's in very good shape. But anyone who knows Frank Bruno's story knows that this man has a problem with bipolar. He's bipolar, and the reason he's been gone from boxing for 20 years is because he was institutionalized. I don't think that anyone in their right mind would give this man any type of license to fight. You've got to be kidding me. Alright? That's how I see it. When you have a man who has this type of condition, and I don't know if he's straight now on the medication or not, but has been institutionalized for so long, are you really going to run that risk and putting him in the ring at his age? Like I said, I don't have a problem with his age, but I can see where people, all these factors, they add up. His age, his mental, his mental awareness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see it happening. I don't. Anyways, I want to move on. I feel bad for Frank Bruno because if you know his story, it's a really bad story for what happened with him. I feel bad for the guy. You know what I mean? He just wasn't getting the help that he needed, and people were just like, he's crazy. We're gonna throw him in the crazy house. That's what they did. His own family. So it's like, that's really sad. But we will see what happens in the future. I'll keep up on it, but I really don't see anybody giving this man a license to box. I don't. And more boxing news. Anyone who got a chance to see over the weekend, Kovalev versus Pascal 2, wasn't boxing. It wasn't. It was a joke. It was. First off, Kovalev shouldn't have taken his fight. He shouldn't have. Even he said he doesn't like rematches because he beat Pascal so bad the first time. Why the hell is there a rematch, all right? Pascal comes out, all right, and he has this Chris Jericho entrance, right? Comes out, and then he brings Roy Jones out. Now, mind you, Roy Jones is his mentor. Matter of fact, he actually had Roy Jones at one point train him because he's such a big fan of Roy Jones. It influenced him. He brought Roy Jones out to start rapping on stage. Don't ask me why. So, you couldn't understand what the hell Roy Jones was saying anyway on stage because he's just mumbling the whole damn time. But you got Roy Jones out there rapping on stage. Pascal is coming out to a Chris Jericho entrance. I'm thinking to myself, this is going to last longer than the actual fight because Pascal's going to lose. And Kovalev destroyed Pascal. And here's the thing. The reason the fight went on for 7 rounds, all right, is because Pascal ran his mouth beforehand, all right? And Kovalev said, I can knock you out early, but I'm going to punish you. I'm going to make you pay for what you said. So rounds, I'm going to say round 2, maybe 3. I won't even say that. Round 2. Pascal stopped fighting after 2. Yeah. Because he had burned up all his energy. He's lunging with his punches. He's throwing like this. He's throwing so many wild punches, he's burning himself out. He's not pacing himself. So he is gassed. And here's the thing. In the first round, Pascal got knocked down. He got knocked down by a good jab. And the thing is, the ref didn't count it as a knockdown. He counted as a slip, which I don't understand because if you watch the replay, dead caught with a jab. There was no way. It wasn't to the point where, they collided or anything or their legs got tied up. It was nothing. Pascal threw a punch. Kovalev threw a punch. They got caught in exchange. Pascal fell. But the ref didn't call it a knockdown. It is what it is. Anyways, like I said, about round 2, Pascal stopped fighting. From round 3 on to 7, Pascal just got beat up. He wasn't really throwing punches. He would show a flash here or there. But other than that, he's just like this the entire time. He's down like this the entire time against the rope. And it got to a point where Kovalev had him in the corner and was just like, I'm going to back up. And he would let him come out. And then he would punish him some more. And then he put him back in the corner and was like, I'll back up. Come back out. You know what I mean? And Pascal would come out and he'd get beat up again. Freddie Roach tried to stop this fight in the corner. He said, look, I'm going to I'm just going to throw in the towel. You cannot do this. You're hurting yourself, Pascal. And Pascal was like, no, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to throw some punches. I'll prove it to you that I'm a warrior and that I can fight. Freddie Roach gave him the benefit of the doubt. And what happened when he came back out there? Pascal probably threw maybe 5, 6 more punches. But guess what? He was still getting annihilated by Kovalev. It got to a point where when he came back in the corner, Freddie Roach said, that's it, you're done. And he called the fight. It was absolutely ridiculous. It ended in 7, and here's the thing. Here's the beauty of all this. Okay? Pascal had made a bet with Kovalev, apparently, an offside bet, that if he lost within, because mind you, he lost last time to Kovalev in 8. If Kovalev beat him before 8 rounds, he would owe him $50,000. And Kovalev won. So he owes him another $50,000. See, it's one of those things where it goes to show you that all this talk that you do, talking and fucking talking, it doesn't do anything but sell a fight. You still have to get in the ring. You have to sell it with your fists. Kovalev destroyed Pascal yet again. And it got to a point where at one point, Pascal was fighting a little dirty there. He started punching the back of his head. You know what I mean? He was really trying to rough him up, and it wasn't working. He was so burned out because of how physical he was being, how much energy the output that he was throwing, swinging so wild. He almost felt like he was trying to put Kovalev down on a one and done, and it wasn't working because Kovalev was like, "You're not really hitting me. You're not doing any damage to me, really." So Kovalev, that happened. Kovalev had his talk afterwards, at the post-fight interview in the ring. And here's the problem we're having now, because for those who do not know, Kovalev is talking, right? He's talking about how he won, and they're asking him, how many guys are you going to fight? You keep sacrificing themselves before you get a legit fight. For those who don't know, before this fight, they talked about Kovalev versus Ward, because Andre Ward has now moved up in weight. He is now 175. He is now light heavyweight. So they are talking about having this fight in March. At least they're talking about it. We will see if it happens, but that's so far what is scheduled. I don't think it's going to happen because Andre Ward has already said he wants to have at least 2 more fights, at least tune-up fights, before he fights Kovalev. But this fight is going to happen. Okay? Now that we know that information, all right, and after they turn to Pascal and he wants to say something, he's trying to congratulate Kovalev. What happens? Adonis Stevenson comes into the ring. I'm the real champ. I'm the real champ. You have nothing. You have nothing on me. I'm not ducking you. And I'm thinking to myself, this fight could have been signed a long time ago. And Adonis Stevenson did duck him. Because remember, that's the reason why Kovalev and Hopkins fought. Because Adonis Stevenson didn't want to fight either of them. Okay? That's what it came down to. He didn't have any mandatory fights at that time. He could have took that contract. He didn't. Now, with Adonis Stevenson crashing the party, almost like Tyson Fury did with Deontay Wilder, okay? which we now know that he's going to do the rematch with Klitschko first before he fights Wilder. All right, even though he did have mandatory fights, I don't know what's going on there. We'll see what happens in the future. But Adonis Stevenson talks about how he'll fight Kovalev anywhere, anytime. Sign the contract. We will have this. When Adonis Stevenson says these things in the ring and then he leaves, all right, because it's a big melee and, you know, all these people are in the ring, here's the thing. Right afterwards, Max Kellerman, Bernard Hopkins, and all them say, this was a joke. It was nothing but to try and sell a fight that's in the future. Because Adonis Stevenson could have signed, all right, a contract. They gave him a contract not too long ago to fight Kovalev, all right? But Adonis Stevenson, because of business issues when it comes to Showtime and HBO and stuff like that, you know, to get that contract going, Adonis Stevenson doesn't want to cross any political lines. So he will not sign the contract to fight Kovalev. Yeah. It goes to show you that when boxers, when you're seeing this, and we've seen this twice now in pretty much 1 month, it goes to show you that it's all for hype. Because nobody is signing any contracts. No one is demanding a fight and saying, I can do this. Like I said, Fury versus Wilder, that can't happen just yet. Because they both have mandatory fights. Then we have Adonis Stevenson coming out and saying to Kovalev, Adonis Stevenson won't sign a fucking contract. So, there you go. But we're going to make this a big deal. Like, no. The fight you should be looking forward to is Kovalev-Ward. That's the fight, okay? It's not Stevenson versus Kovalev. It's not. It's pretty sad that happened. Now, I want to move on to UFC. I want to talk about this right now because over the weekend, as we saw UFC weekend, the card for UFC was really well done. And once again, UFC is putting on great cards as of late. Rumble Johnson versus Ryan Bader, we talked about this. Bader didn't have a chance. We knew that he could not stand up with Johnson, and he's going to try to take him down. We knew that Johnson was going to work on his takedown defense. Now, Johnson came in this with something to prove. Anyone who saw the weigh-ins, you know how guys, they take off their shirts and they strip down to their underwear, and if they need to, they'll take off their underwear and put a towel around them so that they make weight. Johnson got on the scale with the sneakers, with all his clothes on. Sneakers on, track jacket on, hoodie on, whatever, all his clothes on, and still made weight. He wanted to prove to everyone that he is serious about fighting and that he wants to be the next champion. When he talked to Daniel Cormier, he said to Daniel Cormier, you know, I'm coming for your title. Regardless what happens between Jones and Cormier, because them two have to fight, you know what I mean? He wants next. You know what I mean? After the failed attempt, the failed Kimura attempt on Johnson, because Bader, let's put it like this, Bader went all in on the Kimura, and when he lost that Kimura, Johnson had mount, and that was it. He just rained down punches. The fight did not last long, okay? So Bader was done. Now, after that, Daniel Cormier comes out and says that just because, no matter who wins between Jones and Cormier, it doesn't mean that Johnson's going to get a title shot. He said this. That's right. He said that he doesn't understand why Johnson doesn't want to just keep knocking out guys for money. Because Johnson wants the title. That's why Cormier. And here's the thing. When Cormier is saying these things on TV, all right, and I would love to show you them right now, but of course, I've seen a lot of people as of late record this stuff, and copyright. Yeah, that's why you're not seeing it. It's sad that it almost feels like your champion is kind of ducking. You know what I mean? Kind of ducking. Now, mind you, Cormier, he beat Johnson last time, but as we know, he wasn't very versed in wrestling. But now that Johnson is working on takedown defense and wrestling himself, I think he'll be more of a threat this time around if he fights Cormier. However, if he fights John Jones, John Jones is in a world of trouble. Seriously, I think he is. Now, granted, John Jones is an elite striker. He is one of the best strikers we have seen in the UFC. But I don't know if he can deal with that power that Rumble Johnson has. Maybe John Jones will muster up and get some serious technical ability. Maybe he'll pull out something out of his bag of tricks that we haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? Depending who wins between Cormier and Jones. We'll see. But, you know, Anthony Rumble Johnson is a problem. A huge problem. And he needs to be dealt with. I mean, seriously, it's one that he needs to be dealt with. You cannot keep denying this man of what he wants. Who else is going to go up against this guy? Seriously. It really comes down to Cormier or Jones. And whoever is the loser has to step aside and let Johnson step in. And have that, you know, number one contender shot. Because you can't keep saying, okay, this person lost, I want a rematch. Okay, now you lost, I want a rematch. And it just keeps going back and forth in this saga. No, it doesn't work that way. It can't work that way. You have to bring in new blood. Dana White has made it known that if you try to keep doing it, that's why the UFC in the previous year and a half at one point was really hurting. For those, I know a lot of us, we say, hey, it's great. But Dana White came out and said the numbers were really low at one point because they didn't make a change. Then when they started making a change in roster, when it came to these fighters and giving them a chance, that's when business started booming again. So it's getting to a point where Dana White's not going to have that. Dana White is going to put Johnson in there. He's going to. You're going to have no choice. You cannot deny a fighter like that. You can't. Anyways, I'm done for today. Hopefully you all liked the video. If not, that's fine too. I'll talk to y'all later, and we'll see what comes up for the rest of this week with sports. Talk to y'all then. Y'all be safe. I'm out.